coming up to Easter, so I thought we'd better make some Easter cupcakes. So here we have a nice chocolate cupcake with chocolate chips inside, with a little chocolate buttercream nest on top with some little mini eggs sitting in the nest. So let's get making them. How are we going to make these Easter cupcakes? Well, we're going to start with a basic chocolate cupcake mixture, which I was going to say, if you want the recipe, you can check it out on one of my other videos, Pigs in Muck Cupcakes. But I've just realised I should be putting this out before that one. So what you're going to need is 113 grams of unsalted butter, melted, so I've got that in the bowl, 2 large eggs, you're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 225 mils of milk. We want 63 grams of cocoa powder, and then I've got some caster sugar. I've got 225 grams of caster sugar, and I've got 150 grams of plain flour. Okay, now I've also got out some icing sugar and some butter and some other things there for the topping. But one thing I've neglected to mention is that we need a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking soda, and I'm going to put some white chocolate chips in it. Now, with the other chocolate cupcake mixtures or cakes I've made, we've used sort of milk or dark chocolate. I thought we'd just do these slightly differently. These are quite small little ones, so I'm not going to chop them up anymore. If they were bigger, I would have chopped them. So, let's get started. I'm going to add both of these eggs to that melted butter, and then I'm just going to use a whisk. Where's the egg everywhere? Don't know why. Well, I do know why, it's still breaking the egg now. So we're just going to whisk them together. And then I'm just going to add, like I say, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now we're going to need the vanilla for on. Okay. Now I think I said to you we need some salt. I've got a quarter teaspoon of salt, and I've got half a teaspoon of baking soda. You want your oven on, and the oven's on. My temperature, I think my oven's knackered. But you want it at 170, and you obviously want some cupcake cases ready. So let's get on to the dry ingredients. So we're just going to sift that into there. So there goes the flour, cocoa powder. I want to keep that little dish because we're going to need some more cocoa powder when we do our topping. The salt, baking soda, and my sugar. Now my sugar is a little bit lumpy, so hence just going to get it through there. So I'm just going to get that all knocked through into there, and then the final ingredient we'll be adding, well, not final ingredient, we'll be adding the milk, and then obviously we've got to put the chocolate in. Dry ingredients along with 225 mils of milk, and when I've got this a little bit better combined, I'm then going to add in those chocolate chips, and then we're now just going to make sure we've got all that flour, all that dry mixture thoroughly incorporated. And when our oven's up to temperature, we're then going to half fill our cupcake cases. Okay, so we're just about ready for the oven. My oven temperature all over the place. I ended up with peaks on them, so you probably can see from there. All I've done is they're still cooling a little bit. I let them cool a bit, and then I've just sliced the top off, so I've got a flat surface because of what we're going to put on top. So they still need time to cool, but we'll start making the buttercream. So in here I've got 225 grams of unsalted butter, and in a second I'm going to get my old whisk and I'm going to cream that up. We're going to be adding to that 63 grams of cocoa powder and 420 grams of icing sugar. And then we're going to need some vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of that, and I've got a tablespoon of milk. Now, my piping bag, I've got like a grass nozzle, okay? And then I've got some little mini eggs. Okay, I've got some, I was going to use the standard Cadbury's mini eggs, but I couldn't find them in my local shop. That's not my Tesco's, by the way. I went to Co-op for change. Co-op didn't have them. So we've got some other mini eggs, but it's a bit irrelevant really. So I've got some orange flavoured ones, some Milky Bar ones, so some milk chocolate ones, and then some Smarty orange flavoured ones. So I'm just going to sieve into that cocoa powder. I've got to add, I've got 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. In that goes, and then actually I'm going to get a spoon and do this in bits. We're then just going to add that icing sugar, and then like usual what I should probably do is I'll use one of my spatulas just to incorporate that icing sugar a little bit, so that when I put the whisks in there we don't get icing sugar everywhere. At this point I'm going to add in my 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So it's getting quite stiff now, and I'm going to add in that milk, and now just going to finish combining all that together. Using that glass nozzle, what we're going to do is we're now just going to pipe. It's quite stiff, this buttercream, because I wanted it to, you know, stay nice and stringy. And these holes are quite fine, so it's a bit of an effort. So I'm just going through putting a base layer and then building up the edges, so we've built some little nests. So into each nest I'm just going to place a couple of eggs, so you can keep them the same. You can do a bit of mix and match. It's entirely up to you. You can shove 3 in if you like. Some of these are just about big enough. So just lift that one up. There we go. There is our Easter cupcake.